Welcome back to the 360 Sports Network Road to the Final Four podcast series, breaking down every conference tournament on the way to the NCAA tournament. Who will get those automatic bids? Whose bubbles might just burst? That's what we discuss here on the Road to the Final Four, because before we can fill that field of 68, we must first get through the conference championships. I'm James Dotson. Here tonight we want to look at the Ohio Valley Conference. Now, the Murray State Racers have dominated the OVC last year. They went 30-1 last year in the regular season. They won the regular season championship, the conference championship, and the tournament. They would end up losing to Marquette in the second round of the NCAA tournament, but they were a very powerful team that now everybody knows about. Now, there might be a new sheriff in town this year, though. Belmont has entered the conference. They left last year the Atlantic Sun. They've now joined the OVC. And they have taken away that regular season title from Murray State. It will likely be a battle between those two teams to see who represents the Ohio Valley Conference here in March. Both teams have double byes until the semifinals, so they should be well rested for a potential big championship matchup, in theory. Let's look at Belmont to start. The 24-6, they lost the head-to-head battle when they lost at Murray State, 79-74. The Bruins light up the scoreboard. They put up 77.2 points per game. They're led by their senior guard, Ian Clark. He averages 18 per game. In fact, 5 Bruins average double-digit points per game. Their high-scoring, high-octane offense has been very troublesome for teams, not only in their conference tournaments, but in the NCAA tournament. They look right now like they could be a potential 11 or 12 seed. This could be a classic 5-12 upset pick that you could go. We're getting ahead of ourselves, though. They still need to win their conference championship first. But since they have a lights-out three-point shooting team, all 5 of their starters are lights out. They shoot 39-40% as a team from beyond the arc. They average 22 three-pointers attempted per game. That means that they're putting down 10 or 11 shots every time that they go out there. Clark, like I said, Trevor Nowak, Reese Chamberlain, they all individually shoot 40% or above from three-point range. Lack of size will help them down, or will hurt them, I should say, down the stretch. But it would be a very intriguing upset pick in the tournament, and I think that just being in a mid-major conference, they should have the inside track easily to have that automatic bid. Now, Murray State, the number 2 seed, they're 20-9. The Murray State Racers actually finished 4th this year in the Ohio Valley Conference. They placed behind both Eastern Kentucky and Tennessee State, but because they won that West Division, they end up getting the technical number 2 seed in the conference tournament. They lost their last 2 games of the regular season. That kind of scares me. Those losses to Tennessee Martin, and then they got blown out at home to Southeast Missouri State. Now, Murray State, we all know about Isaiah Canaan. He's really their only hope. He puts up 21.5 points per game. He leads the team with about 4 or 5 assists per contest as well. He's really their main guy. They also have junior forward Ed Daniel. He's good for a double-double each contest. But in the end, it comes down to whether Canaan can make the big play down the stretch. If he does, Murray State will go far. If he has an off night, well, we might as well say goodbye to the Racers now. Now, I mentioned Eastern Kentucky, the technically number 2, but end up having a number 3 seed in the tournament. The Eastern Kentucky Colonels are a very interesting team to watch. They're very much unknown because of Murray State and Belmont. But believe it or not, they've won 7 out of their last 8 conference games. Their one lone blemish was an overtime loss on the road to Tennessee State. They know how to put up points. They average 74 points per game as a team. Mike DeNuno leads the way for Eastern Kentucky. He's a 5'11 guard who leads the team in points per game, 15.5, and he also dishes out 4 dimes per game. He was 5 for 14 from three-point range in their regular season finale loss to Tennessee State. They also have 6-foot junior guard Glenn Kosey. He's from Flint, Michigan. He plays now his first full season in over 3 years. He puts up another 15 points per game, and like DeNuno, he shoots about 40% from beyond the arc, so a couple guys who can shoot it big time from three-point range. Those two will drive, draw, dish it to the other one. It's a very tough duo to defend, even though they're both under 6 feet tall. It's still very difficult for them to get. I really think the Colonels will make it to the title game to face the Bruins. I think that it's just going to be too much for Murray State. I don't think they'll have a chance. So it's going to be Belmont versus Eastern Kentucky in the championship game. I do see Belmont making it a 3-game sweep over Eastern Kentucky, though, and getting the automatic bid. However, if Eastern Kentucky does pull off the upset there in Nashville, which is very probable, I wouldn't be surprised, then I actually see the Ohio Valley Conference being a 2-bid league this year. I really think Belmont has proven enough that they could be an at-large team. They're actually ranked 23rd right now in RPI, and they have a strength of schedule comparable to Gonzaga and Creighton. So actually, I'm going to root for Eastern Kentucky to pull off the upset and give the Ohio Valley Conference a second team in the big dance. But like I said, I think Belmont is going to be just a bit too much. One other thing I would like to mention here with the Ohio Valley Conference. Jacksonville State, they would have been the 5 or the 6 seed in the Ohio Valley Tournament. They have an 8-8 conference record, 17-13 overall. However, they're the first team that we've now encountered here in our Road to the Final Four series to incur a postseason ban for the season. They are ineligible because of APR, which is Academic Progress Rate. That's defined by the NCAA as a term-by-term measure of eligibility and retention for D1 athletes. It was developed as an early indicator for graduation rates. So essentially, if a team doesn't graduate about 50% of its players, they start by getting a warning, then losing scholarships, and then if the rates even decrease from there for 3 or more years, they can receive a postseason ban, like Jacksonville State now has. If that continues for 4 or more years, then the entire athletics department gets penalized, and they're not even considered a part of D1 athletics anymore. There are nearly a dozen D1 programs, most notably the UConn Huskies, who will not compete in postseason play this year due to APR. The NCAA is coming down hard on schools for not making the grade, and this isn't going to be the last that we hear of APR keeping teams from competing in conference tournaments and potentially competing in the NCAA tournament. Well, all that aside, on that sad note, that's it for our analysis on the Ohio Valley Conference Championship. Follow us on Twitter at 3S Network. Keep tabs on our website, 360sportsnetwork.com, for all of your updates leading up to Selection Sunday. Thank you for tuning in to the Road to the Final Four podcast special. Stay tuned for future podcasts as we fill that field of 68 for you and make your brackets the very best they can be. For 360 Sports Network, I'm James Dawson. You guys have a great evening.